Hello there, friends. Welcome to Start Early Today, your daily dose of mindfulness and positivity. Today, I'd like to share some questions, some wonderful questions you can ask yourself so that you can coach yourself and be directed to the right path. Because sometimes we all get into the funk. We get stuck in the quicksand, in the endless loops that we tend to spiral down, and it turns into an avalanche we end up with a depleted and drained energy. And sometimes it just takes a little effort to pause and sit still and examine what's going on inside our heads, to truly be the driver, the inner coach, the leader of our own system, our own domain. Before we can lead organizations or systems in front of us, we must first take charge of ourselves, the system of you, which is made up of your physical body, your mind. Manage your senses, become more aware of what's going on with you internally, and lead a more enjoyable life, have more fun. Okay? So first you need to ask yourself and take a look at your past. Make time to really assess where you are, and this can be done by asking what led up to this. Okay? What led you to where you are? If you are unsatisfied, or if it is not enough in some aspects of your life, what led you there? And you get to discover that it is you who brought yourself there. It is your consistent choosing of certain habits, of certain actions that you have been playing on repeat, and it has led you where you are. It is governed by a law that we are all just reflections of our thinking, believing, and acting. So whatever or wherever you may be, it is because of your choices. It is because of your doing. It is your karma. So taking that first step, looking at where you are, asking what led you up to this, or what led you in this specific situation, which is beautiful. And if it is not, that is the first step. Awareness that you are not happy with your condition is the first step in changing the trajectory of your days or of your life. And second question, give me some background. How did you arrive at this place? So pretty much the same as the first one. It's about laying out and looking from a bird's eye view of how this all came to be, and picking up the lessons, acknowledging the wins, being grateful for all the lessons, because life will involve pain, but suffering is optional. That is what the Buddhists say. So through pain, having a good relationship with pain, because growth involves pain, not totally being too dramatic, not being too attached to comfort. Comfort will make you soft, not in a good way, my friend. Softness is good in a compassionate way. If you're trying to be more compassionate with your energetic projections on the world, softening is good with your relationship with your thoughts and with yourself. as we said, being compassionate, but being comfortable and seeking comfort and being resistant to change, that is where we trip, because life is about change. Life is impermanent, and we're just here experiencing the flux and the ever goings on or going ons of the cycle of birth and death. And you can go in it molecularly. Your cells are being born and being eaten by one another, secreted. It's a whole cycle of in-breath and out-breath. We can take a look at this life as just one big inhale, and your last exhale is when the death of your physical body comes to be, which is a completion, which is a part of the cycle, which we do not need to wrap energy around, or grip around, or force. Tune into the divine force, the Tao, that the mystics say, or Lao Tzu, or the Buddhists. The Tao, the way, the present, the natural, the nature, the unknown, the mystery of that is what is. And physical death is only a part of the birth of another thing. So live in the paradox, live in the dichotomy, live in equanimity of the duality of the two parts of life and death. It's both you, and it is all is that you are the bird. The poets are not woo-woo and crazy. It is pretty scientific if you think about it when they say you are a part of all things, when they say that you are God. And if you are averse to these kinds of poetic, flowery words, look into metaphysics. They all say one thing. And quantum physics, that we are all connected by strings, that when scientists describe the energy that moves each particle, it is a divine force that cannot be explained, that moves on its own. And what do you do if a thing moves on its own? You just ride it like the wave. You just ride your life like as it is. You embody yourself as you are. You accept your uniqueness, and maybe you can work on your craftiness or your creativity, for God created us in its own image and likeness to become as unique as it can be. Although cats they all look the same, they are all unique and have different personalities. Each tree is unique too. So take a look into your past to become more acquainted with your journey, to become more at ease, and to know and to be able to take charge and to direct where your life is going. You can also look into the future. Where do you see this going? So with your current patterns, your current days, the current habits, where do you see it going in 5 years? If you continuously decide to be in a funk, if you let your mood and days and actions be decided by your externals, don't let your physical body even tell you what to how to feel. You maybe have suffering an ailment, a physical ailment, which is only brought about by an unconscious pain. Sometimes it manifests as pains in the waist or hips or teeth because we're clinging on to something that needs to be let go. Ooh, is that too woo-woo for you, my friend? Look up into the work of epigenetics by this guy, this author, slipping my mind. But the book is called The Biology of Belief. And another good one is The Body Keeps Score. That you can loosen the body. You can soften the body and the way you think about things. So where do you see your life is going? A personal experience here, my friend. I practiced this future practice. I did this future practice in my current addiction with alcohol, and I just asked the simple question of where do you see this is going if you go off the rails all the time and you overdrink and you get away from your inner self and get unconscious. That is irresponsibility. That is an irresponsible way of doing life. That is an irresponsible way of managing the gift that I was given, because I was given a human mind which is unlimited. There's no limit to what I can learn and what I can teach and what I can put together. There's no limit to the music that I can create and the happiness that I can bring to people. And although there's joy in intoxication, it is short term. It is not true joy. It is not the truth, because the next day I get to pick up the pieces of the tragedies that is caused by the unconscious behaviors. See, practice consciousness by deliberately praying. I replaced it with practices of mindfulness, physical exercise, creativity, and this, practicing my articulation of what rings true. Okay, so have a look at your past, have a look at your future, and see your patterns. Also, a good question is, have you been in a place like this before? Describe what happened. How have similar situations in the past affected you? How have you responded to them? Do you see any patterns here in your life or your responses? Get to know yourself. How do you respond to things? Are you easily irritated, and do you easily avoid and run away from responsibilities and the higher call of the becoming of your greatest version, or the unleashing of your greatest potential? Are you shying away from the pain and the work it takes for you to be the greatest version of yourself that you can be? What are these patterns? Why are you resisting? Are you too in love with not being the full version of yourself? That's a good question. And I think we'll end with that. Have a good look in your past. What led you here? Have a good look at the future. Where do you see things are going? And how do you want things to turn out? What is the best possible outcome for you? And look at your patterns. What do you do day in and day out? What do you consume? What media do you consume? And do you make time for no inputs, but rather just tuning into the Akasha, the unified field, the universal mind? You can tune into that through silent meditation. Just watch the mind, And the watcher, that is your awareness. That is Satchit Ananda. That is ever new bliss, where all is complete, wherein you are just seated and you are centered, undisturbed, ever so peaceful, and ever so beautiful. That's it for today. Hope you picked up something nice and put it into practice. And I'd love to hear your sentiments in the comment section of whatever app you're listening to. I think they have it on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Please leave a review and a 5-star rating. Click notifications and subscribe to the newsletter. And let's start with that. That's it for today. Happy Sunday. Whatever is bothering you, it ain't no thing but a vegan chicken wing. And you can always sing Rama Lama Ding Dong, it's Sunday. You're in love. And make no big deal of something that don't mean diddle-dee squat. This is Paolo. Namaste.